All right, good morning, everyone. Sorry about this morning. Super icy, crazy slick. So I just said, forget it. Waited for things to thaw and then I came in. So now I have to leave again like this early afternoon. So what a day. Anyway, statics. I'm leaving friction behind, but I want to cover the quiz first. So let's go over that and then we'll go into centroids and center of gravity. So, all right. So the quiz was a vehicle that was on a incline of 15 degrees. It had some loads, 600 on each front tire, 1,200 total in the front, and 400 in the rear, I believe. 15-degree angle, coefficient of 0.12, and the question was, can they get stopped or just sitting in there? Can they stay in that position? So guess maybe do the heavier one first. See what that situation is. We have a certain amount of load down the hill. We have 15 degrees in here and a certain amount of load into the hill, and then an N force and a friction force. And we know the friction force is equal to mu Sn. Okay, so we need to calculate that. We need to find N, which means we need to find this component, the into the ground component. So I will call that Y of the 600. And I'm going to use the cosine of 15 degrees equals the adjacent side Y of the 600 over the hypotenuse 600. So this is going to give me that Y into the ground force. Excuse me. That's a Y. Uh, 579.56. 579.56 pounds. And since those are the only two, and you do these analysis separate, these are the only two, so that also equals N. So that gives me the friction max of 0.12 times the 579.56 pounds. Friction mass max equals 0.12 times. I can take my glasses off. 69.54 pounds. Not much, but it's also not much of a slope. So all we need now is to know the down the hill force, because we know the friction max force. So we see like what's that comparison like. So that's going to be sine 15 times the 600. 155 downhill. 155.29 pounds. So the friction available is this, and the down the hill force is this. It's clearly not going to stop, not going to stay put. You are sliding down the hill. So get some chains on. It's unsafe. All right, so that was the, no need to do this one if this one's not working. This one's probably not going to work, but even if it did, like there's not enough braking power there. But you could figure this one out fairly quick. All you'd have to do is switch the 600 for 400, right? So for the F max would be 15 cosine 400 times. So 386. Now I'm going to take it times the coefficient 0.12. So only 46 pounds available in friction back here. So F max equals 46.36. And I'm pretty sure that's got a larger force down the hill. It's not going to be quite 155, but I bet it's 100. you know? So anyway, yeah, definitely sliding down the hill. All right, we're gonna move on to chapter 7. So chapter 7 starts with center of gravity, I believe. Yeah, it does. Center of gravity. So center of gravity is basically gonna just talk about the balance point of an object. And where we use center of gravity is when we have potentially two different types of material. So if you have a structure that's made of different types of material, then that's when you would use center of gravity. The equation is going to be very similar. Like this X bar is going to look a lot like centroidal X bar. So what we're trying to find out in general, what we need to know here is we need to know where the balance point is for a shape, any shape. Most of the time, and what we're going to focus on is the cross-sectional shape, right? A beam across section. That's kind of why they have this little diagram here, right? When they talk about center of gravity. Well, the first concept they talk about is this weight thing. And normally we don't even need to worry about the weight when it comes to center of gravity because we're using the same material. So if we have a shape, let's say this is our shape, what we want to know is where the x-axis is, the composite x-axis, and the composite y-axis. Now, this looks like it's symmetrical. So if you stack things symmetrically, then we know that y-axis is going to be straight up and down. But the x may be a lighter or heavier material up here, down here, like where's that balance point, right? So really what we're finding, we call it the neutral axis, the axis of equilibrium in all directions, or the balance point, okay? So if you have weights, this is what you do. You take the weight of each object, weight 1 times its x1, like x distance over to the centroid, and its weight 2 times its x distance. Well, I'm not even going to do center of gravity because really our focus is going to be centroids and center of area. That's what we need to work on. Okay. So notice the equation is like super similar. There's just no weight involved and there's just areas and x distances to areas. It's a lot like when we concentrate a distribution, right? We take a triangle and we make a single force out of it. It's a lot like that. So what we're trying to figure out is the balance point to a shape like this, also called the neutral axis, right? If it was just a rectangle, we know where that axis is. It's right in the middle of the rectangular shape, right? So it's these more complicated shapes that we need to find this neutral axis. And the way we do it is we use the individual shapes and their individual centroidal location to find it. So to get the y's, we add up all of the areas times their y distances. So you do need an axis, and notice they put their axis down here. I almost always put my axis at the bottom and then at the left edge. Here's y, here's x. And you use that axis throughout the problem. Okay, so this one is trying to find where this y-axis would be, right? So you sum up, like one area could be this thing. Oh, they call it area 2. Where's area 1? Area 1 is the big rectangle, I'm guessing, right? So then they go area 1 times y1. Well, the y distance to the big rectangle is right here, the big rectangle. So when you do these shapes one at a time, you don't think about the circle. You don't think about that. You just think about the big rectangle. Okay, so there's y1. And then you just put in the equation. Now, if it's an area that's missing, like this hole, right, then we want to put in a negative for that. So here is the circle, y3. This is area 3, right? And they put in a negative. I usually put it right here. Just make this whole statement a negative, but right there works too. And then what goes on the bottom? The total area. So that area plus that area minus that area goes on the bottom. And you get your centroidal axis, your y-axis. If you wanted the x, if you wanted this x-axis, like where is, notice that the composite y is going to be actual location of the x-axis. It's going to be this, right? Wherever that ended up. Looks like it ended up a little lower than that. But they didn't draw it in here. But here it is right here at 3.52. So it's under the 4. It's right in here somewhere. It's y bar. So it is locating the composite x-axis. Okay? So it's this formula that we have to learn how to run over and over and over. So it's not too difficult, right? Areas times y's, areas times y, and there's 3 areas here, so you just add them up and you divide by the total area. Okay? And they do go through a few examples for you in the book, but I thought I'd do one here for you. And I'll just make it up. Let's say we have a we're going to take a 2x4. Right here. So that is 3.5 by 1.5. And we're going to add a 2x4 to it. And we're going to keep it symmetrical. So again, this is 1.5 by 3.5. It has an axis for this shape, which is right in here, and an axis for this shape, which is right in here. So that's the first thing you need to know is how you're going to break your areas up and where their own centroidal axis is. So I'm going to call this 1. I'm going to call this 2. What I want to know is like, where's the neutral axis or the combined composite axis? So since I said this is like symmetrically added, then these y-axes line up. So when axes line up, I don't have to figure it out. I know that the y-axis is straight through the middle of this object due to symmetry. But what I don't know is where is the x-axis. And where that is down here somewhere, but I don't know where. And notice how it gets located with y bar. So what we want to know is like, where is y bar? I'm going to make this my x-axis, and I'm actually going to make this my y-axis. You need to define that before you start. And note it so I can see it. It's important. Then I need y bar, right? So that equation is the summations of a times y over total a. The lower a is a capital for the total A. The upper A is a small case for individual areas. So if you have a lot of parts, you'll see some folks or the book doing a table. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to write it out. Area 1 equals 1.5. That's this area up here times 3.5, which equals 5.25 inches squared. And y1, that's the y distance up to the center of this shape. So I know it's half of the 3.5 to here. Oops. So that's 175 from here to here. And then I got to add the 1.5 to get it from my axis. 3.25. So that's from down here up to here. And that's y1, right? The y distance to shape 1. Now I need the area of shape 2, which we already know is 5.25 inches squared. And I need the y distance to this second shape, which is half of that, which is 0.75 inches. All right. So those are all the pieces you need to plug it into this. Everything's solid, so everything is going to get added together. So y bar equals the summation of, so it's A1, 5.25 inches squared, times y1, 3.25 inches, plus A2, 5.25 inches squared, times 0.75 inches. And all of that over the total area, which is going to be this plus this, looks like 10.5 inches squared. And if you do the unit analysis, we have inches to the third plus inches to the third divided by inches squared, we're going to be left with an inch. So y bar equals, and I'll just run it out here. So it's that plus this. Oops. And 10.5 divided 2 inches. So y bar equals 2 inches. That's where that axis ends up. It's the neutral axis, we call it, NA. But it is the axis of balance point, right? Again, I don't need to find where the y is. I know it's directly through the center, or from here to here, half of the 3.5, right? All right, so that's the beginning of centroids. I skipped right over center of gravity. You're going to do number 7 and 8. So let's look at this. This chapter is very short. Oh, where is it? 7 and 8. So that should be, yeah, that's a centroid, that one right there. So it says a concrete member has a cross-section shown, locate the centroid. So it's all concrete, so we don't need to deal with the weight. We just use the shape, just like the problem I just worked. 8, a little more difficult, but you can figure it out. Break it into shapes that are simple. It's symmetrical about this axis, so we don't need to find y, we just need to find x. It says a thin steel plate having the dimensions show contains 3 2-inch diameter holes. Note the axis of symmetry, locate the centroid of the area. So a couple ways you can do this. You can use a big rectangle, right? So do a big solid and then take away 2 triangles because these will be exactly the same. And then take away the circle, and then the 2 circles might be the easiest way to go about it. There's other ways to do it. Obviously, you could use, smaller triangle, whole triangles and a rectangle, and then take the 3 holes away. Break it into the shape that you choose and go for it. All right, that is centroids. Good luck with it, and we'll see you all on Wednesday.